What is happening, ladies and gents? Welcome to another episode of Have a Chat with Ray and Stat. I am Ray. In the corner over there is Stat.
Sure.
That's not Stat. There he is. What's
Right.
happening, bruv?
Much about you?
Living the dream, mate.
You're a liar.
Always. Always.
Positive liar.
Always.
Living the dream, but it's always a shambles.
It's a fair call. Next to me is Goose. What's going on, brother?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for asking.
Well, it's like he's never asked you before?
Huh?
It's like he's never asked you
No,
before?
I always say I'm good and no one's asked, so I had to.
Oh, yeah,
He's
fair
always
enough.
awkward with those intros for some reason.
Yeah, it's awkward in general. But
Yeah, fair enough.
moving
Ladies and gents, subscribe. If you do that, YouTube's nice. Thank you. Introducing our guest, who's already been ruined because Joseph can't switch on a switcher, Davo.
Hello.
Hello, brother.
Fantastic.
Thank you for saying yes to this.
You're welcome.
I don't know.
Again, why did you say yes to this?
I have no idea.
Yes.
There wasn't even a question. I walked up to him on Friday. I go, "Would you do Mine and Stats podcast?" He goes, "Yeah, all right." And that was it.
You know, previously I thought about it and I go, no, I don't want to do it.
Why?
I don't want to be, I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's convicting.
That's very good. So are we wannabes?
No.
So what changed your mind then?
Maybe just the mood I was in at the time.
Nice. And you couldn't
Perfect timing.
see? How good's that? Dave was talking about a road rage incident. I was like, I've got him in the perfect spot. Davo, jump on the potty.
If that was me, I would have been like, I've just told you my road rage incident. Why am I now going on about doing a podcast? Absolutely not.
It's like I don't know what I'm more mad about: the road rage or the question.
Yeah,
That's being on the podcast.
I agree, but they've suckered you into beauty, mate. Welcome.
You did.
Good to have you on.
And can I just say, with regards to road rage, I've calmed down a lot.
Have you?
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe you, bro.
No, I have.
I still think that you're pretty bad though.
No. No, I try and be an example to my kids.
So they've changed you there?
Yeah.
Interesting. Any road rage incidents this week?
No.
Because it happens to you more than anyone I know.
Yeah, it's I honestly believe this. I believe this with all my heart. That first of all, every Thursday is unbelievable, like traffic. Like it is. Like tomorrow is going to be a nightmare. I'll get up, I'll get in the car, I'll start driving, and I will think, what is going on? And it won't be until about 10 minutes into the trip that I'll be astounded by the silliness or the stupidity of some people driving. I'm going, what? How is so many dopes on the road? And then it will hit me. It's Thursday.
And you think it's because of boys' meeting or Bible study?
100%. No, I believe with all my heart. It's because of boys' meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I also believe that it happens to me more than others. I think that's my driving style. So this is my analysis. I'm a deep thinker. Ready?
Okay, here we go.
I drive at the perfect speed for people not to expect me to be there.
What?
So they look over their shoulder or they check on their left, they look in the mirror and they don't see anyone.
Okay.
But they don't change lanes straight away. I happen to come through. At that point, they think, oh, I'll change lanes now. And I checked like a few seconds ago and there was no one there. So they either cut me off or I'll beep them and then they'll get angry at me like I didn't check. So I think my driving style just manages to attract angry people.
I'm very confused by that. I don't know what happened there.
You know, Dave, me and Nathaniel were convinced that there's a black market side to Uber where people get paid
Yeah, agreed.
to annoy us on the road, like cut us off, drive extremely slow. Like they'll speed up, they'll do like 100 k's to get in front, and then they'll drop down to 10
Yeah, agreed. Like we're talking
every day.
overtime. We're talking time and a half, double time. We're talking six-figure salaries.
We're talking that's their only job.
Can I say
They
this?
pay off houses with this job.
Yeah, approved.
Look, can I say something? I think without meaning to be racist,
I'm loving it already.
You know that this is going to be good. Okay.
it's the people that drive Ubers that it seems like they're all working together.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just saying.
You know they have Uber meetups? Like they'll all meet at one spot and they'll
Does
hang
your
out.
dad still drive Uber?
Yeah. I thought he finished. Buys himself a...
Does he smell funny when he comes back from those meetings?
Bro, he buys himself a brand new ute and he uses that for Uber. And he says everyone that he picks up is absolutely shocked by how nice the car is. I go, it's because you're driving a brand new ute as an Uber car.
You know, Dave, there's Uber, there's also Uber Eats. Uber Eats, they tend to ride bikes. Now, I get very confused with the road rules because I'm told that people on bikes are not allowed to ride on the footpaths. So that's why they annoy us
I
on
don't
the
think
roads.
that's technically law. So if you're riding, like if kids are riding in the neighborhood, I think they can ride on the foot.
I think
you're
maybe-
a driver tester. How don't you know the road rules?
Well, they don't drive. My applicants don't drive on the footpath.
You know what? Touché. Fair enough.
Also, I don't think you're allowed on the footpath in shopping centres or like
Yeah.
high traffic areas.
I think the footpath is more in busy areas or more like shopping strips.
Yep.
So in saying that, you know, obviously we drive on the roads and these great people drive their bikes in front of us. Yeah, part of the Uber Black, whatever you want to call it, getting paid top dollar.
Yeah.
But
Big
then
money.
when I'm walking, this happened at Ojana Punch Bowl. So if you guys can envision the footpath, they're pretty busy. They ring their dumb little bells at me to get off the footpath so they can ride their bikes. So they go off the road after annoying me and go on the footpath to annoy me even more. And I heard that's illegal, but they don't care.
But I also heard that's how they get their 6-figure salaries. Because they're very annoying.
They've got to pay off the houses.
Well, I mean, agreed. I just think it's perfectly in the worst moods I'm in, or I'm having the worst attitude for whatever reason. It's at that time.
It can't be a coincidence.
No, not
It
a
can't.
coincidence.
It's
Nah, not a
impossible.
coincidence. Yeah. It's
Possible.
Not
It
a
happens
coincidence.
too often to be a coincidence. Tell them about my street on Fridays.
So to head to, I cut through Bankstown, kind of cut through Bankstown to go the long way, go to Power. I love the long way. For me, it's a long way.
Okay.
But I cut through.
He won't take highways.
Friday, every day it's fine. But Fridays is obviously bin day. So that's not the point of the matter. Like every day, one day in the week, it's got to be bin day, right? It's not the issue. But the issue I have with the fact that it's bin day is the truck won't do enough to stay on the left-hand side for me to cut through.
Yep.
They're just hayward. They just stay in the middle all the time. And I think to myself, like, why not, like, Habibi straight, like, move to the left a bit. They'll never move. The second you go to cut around, they've cut back in this way. I had Goose watching me from I called him. I go, Goose, please watch this. This is top,
You
top
watched him
dollar.
from your house.
This is top. We're talking 12-figure salaries. Watch this.
So, Dave, the best thing about this isn't the fact that he's stuck behind the garbage truck. Is that the garbage truck is stuck behind the concrete truck that's pouring concrete in the middle of the road next door to my house. So I come out on the balcony and recording this guy for 10 minutes, laughing at him.
I can't move. I think the traffic is on Woodville Road or it's going to be through Regent's Park, but the real traffic is his house.
So did the garbage truck get past?
No.
So what they just
So
sat there.
I'm
Yeah,
stuck.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yep. I recorded him
To wait for
Okay,
the
wait, so
to wait for the
they
concrete.
waited for the concrete to finish getting poured?
I wasn't actually watching the concrete. I was watching him.
You were
Getting
filming the
angry.
thing. How were you
I
not?
was
Where's the
filming
video?
him.
Where's the
I
video?
was?
It was on Snapchat.
Okay. I was just behind the truck, smelling the khara from the truck for 10 minutes. Like, you can't ride it better than that.
Why are you driving through Mile Street
And
to go to work?
Because South Terrace is peaking. The early part of South Terrace. So I cut through, so I go halfway through South Terrace. I skip all the traffic.
And
You jump onto what do you call it? The main road. Why am I forgetting it?
Thanks, Google
James
Maps.
Roos Drive.
James Roos Drive.
No,
I'm in
James-
Punch Bowl, you imbecile.
What's the no? I get the two confused every time. Henry Lawson.
again, he's in Punch Bowl.
I'm in Punch Bowl.
What is the street called?
You named
The
two
one that
streets.
connects.
Ball Road?
Canterbury Road?
Hume Highway.
Canterbury. Wow, that was bad. Anyway,
James
why don't you
Roos
jump on
Drive.
there and then jump on the
Yeah,
M4?
take it out of you. Goose, please.
Why don't you jump on there? Jump on the M4. From there, it's better than going through
That
Bankstown.
is, listen, for someone that drives a long way everywhere, that is top 33
No,
dumbest things
it's
I've
not.
ever
It takes you onto the M4. You
Goose,
go
please
from
continue.
there.
Please continue, Goose.
I wanted to say that it happened more than once because he's like, how many times are going to pour concrete on a Friday?
Just
Like-
in the 6 weeks I need to drive to Parramatta, because I usually work from home, but in the 6 weeks I need to go to Parramatta, it's like 6 concrete pours set for Friday, 6 a.m.
Friday is bin day and Friday is also concrete day.
Okay, wait. Have you sold your house yet?
No, auction is soon, a few weeks. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, the Uber on the black market, let me tell you,
They're making
dollar bill, y'all.
dollar bill.
It's big money.
We have paid off, me and Nathaniel,
Listen,
a lot of houses.
If you want to become mates, trust me, I know. Get a High Vis, get a scooter. They will love you. Everywhere you go, they'll wave to you like, hey, brother.
You did this when you lost your license, eh?
When I lost my license.
How long was that? 3 months?
No, it was only 1 month.
1 month of you riding a scooter to work.
Riding a scooter to the train station, training it to work. So I became friends with every Uber driver on the way to the station from my house or from the city to the station. And I became mates with every homeless guy on the train.
Do you miss it?
No.
Do you miss them?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Dave, when I used to walk home from work, so as a driver tester, everything, all my uniforms High Vis, so my jacket is High Vis. I used to wear that when I used to walk home. I believe I didn't have a car for some reason, so I had to walk home. And in that few weeks I was walking home, every day without fail, a past applicant of mine that either I failed or passed, or I don't know, would drive past and beep at me. One of them stopped to give me a lift.
See, I told you.
What a life, bro. I gotta start becoming mates with junkies.
High Vis and scooter. That's all you need.
And I did not take a lift with him because I failed him multiple times. So I did not think I was going home if I got in the car with him. Let me tell you.
You thought you were going home to eternity. That's what you thought you were going.
One-way ticket.
We need more people like you, Goose, failing people that can't drive.
Yeah, but then he fails the people that can drive as well. That's my issue.
Well, they weren't abiding the laws, were they?
Approved.
Can I say this? When I went for my P's, I should have failed. But the instructor said to me, you obviously have good control of the car. You know what you're doing. You just made a few silly mistakes. I'm going to give you your license anyway.
What a different time, bro.
I was one of the nicest ones there. And that's not going off me. That's going off the instructor. So there's testers that work for the government. Then there's instructors that have their own companies. They would say, they would tell me how they will want the applicant to get me because they feel like I'm the fairest or I'm the nicest, so to speak. But my fail rate, if I was to guess, they don't tell you, was very easily 70%. Very easily.
It should have been higher, I think.
It could have been, but the thing is,
Especially
they
in Bankstown.
don't tell you. So I'm just rough guess.
Do you miss driver testing?
I miss it so much, but I'm extremely happy in my current role because there's progression in it. I'm currently in software design. And
when?
Better. Yesterday.
When did I ask? I didn't ask if you miss driver
No.
testing.
No. He's got to tell everyone his whole life story when it comes to work.
No,
Just like every new visitor that walks into the church, they get Goose's whole work history.
And they get all my stories apparently.
Worked at Samsung. I did aluminium.
I never talk about
windows.
Samsung.
I was in roofs for
That
a
was some
bit.
dark times for you.
What the milk?
Yeah, that was some dark
Remember
times
his
for
two
you.
little
But yeah,
ones. Anyway.
I caught up with my driver tester mates a few weeks ago. They asked me that, and my answer was, I absolutely miss it. If they asked me to come back, I would. But if I had to choose, I'm happy where I am. When you're making progress in where you're at, it's a lot more satisfying to you as a person than if there's no progression, but you're happy. Well, that's me personally.
Yeah,
I guess
why?
it depends on the person.
Why do you say that?
Because it's
I'm
on.
not disagreeing with you. I just
Yeah.
want to know why you're saying that.
I feel like, me personally, I guess someone else could be different. Me personally, if I don't have goals that I'm achieving, I feel like I'm wasting my time, even if I'm having a good time.
Even if it's the same thing that you like doing.
Even if it's the same thing I like doing, I need to see progression in my life, especially in my career. I need to see it
So where's it end with the career?
when
Like
I die.
if there's, so you have to be progressing constantly. throughout the
Constantly.
entire career.
Yes, even if I stay in the same role for multiple years, if I see some sort of progression, whether it's in the work I do or the financial side, whatever it is, I need to see some sort of progression. Usually it's by going up a role, or it could be by the tasks you do. But I need to see progression. And as a driver test, as much as I loved it, I pretty much hit my peak.
Okay. But why do you need to see progression?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I think I answered why. Because I feel like I'm wasting my time if I don't.
Okay. You're not answering the question. Like, you're wasting your time. You need to see progression, but why? Like, what's the purpose of it?
What's the purpose of moving up in your career?
Yeah.
I think it's a self motivation sort of thing. Like I feel like I've achieved something, rather than going into work and doing the same thing over and over again and not seeing results. But when I'm in
But you are seeing results though. People passing, people getting their license.
the results for them, I want results for me.
Fair enough.
I think it's because you wanna, or people wanna see their limits. They wanna reach like what their ability is. They wanna find their potential.
Okay.
So if you go backwards, you don't you're moving further away from knowing how much you can achieve.
You're right. But me personally, I had this role is actually a few steps backwards in terms of grade and everything. Sometimes you got to take a few steps backwards.
But
to move
you're
forward.
taking these steps back to move forward.
Correct.
In the big picture.
Yeah. You know, I agree with what you're saying.
Is that what you reckon?
Look, me personally.
What's so funny?
No.
He's a bit
He said about
17
Yeah, I want to
93 is
make
fine.
sure that you know I'm talking about me.
Oh, we emphasise the me part and then the personally right after. No, that's good. You all right?
Arms are pretty big on the line.
Yeah, nice. Tense, happy with tense. Keep the tensing going.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, very good.
Yes, that. What do you think?
I don't think much in general. But no, like I see you're just going like it's I think for you it's always about like always being busy and always achieving new goals, striving for new things to learn always. I think that's what it is.
It's challenges. I think if you're not challenging yourself or you don't have, like, you feel like your mind's not being activated, then
Yeah, if there are no goals and you're just
You're stuck
working
in a rut.
like if you're just in a position where you're just lackluster in your efforts, then you're going to be lackluster in your career.
Mm.
I think it's how much do you want the position that you're striving for, and how hard are you willing to work for it? And that's the challenge in itself. And every single person's motivation is different when it comes to that.
Mm.
So
Dave, something you worked hard in, and I wanted to bring this up on the potty, and that you strive to build and make a thing, is boys meeting.
Okay.
Can you tell the people about boys meeting, how that started, why it started, if they don't know? Boys meeting or
I
Bible
would
study
love
now.
to, because I'm gonna take a side topic here.
Okay.
This podcast,
Yeah.
who listens to it?
You'd
Not
be
many people.
surprised. The last episode got 170 views.
Okay, so it's sort of like listening to Today FM without the talk back
Yeah.
and without the music
Yeah.
and
Without the
without
popularity.
the comedians.
Correct.
well, I think
Sort
that's I kind of disagree with the last one.
Sort of.
I kind of disagree with the last one. Nah.
I
Why do
consider
you think we
myself.
brought him onto the show?
I consider myself a bit of a comedian.
Give us a joke right now.
Yeah.
I'm on the spot. I can't.
Go. Give us your best joke.
My best joke. I got one.
Okay, give it to us.
I think I forgot it. Come back to me.
All right. Anyway, yeah. So that's, no one.
Okay.
We love you guys, by the way.
Yeah,
You're good.
I don't know who you guys are, but
Neither do we, to be honest.
welcome.
Yep.
With the boys meeting.
Mm.
So, let me explain what happened. About 2000,
Yep.
the year 2000, we were walking down Cronulla. Sorry, I have to take a step back further. My life growing up, I grew up in a church household, but I never had anyone that I could look up to that was in the next generation above me. So there was these two guys that were at church before me. Their name was George Abdullah and Danny Ayub. Danny Ayub's Paul Ayub's older brother.
Yeah.
These guys were they were the definition of cool. If I could be like anyone at the time, I'd love to be like them. But their priority wasn't Jesus.
Okay.
It was normal life, and they've done really well at it. They're lovable characters. Everyone that knows them absolutely loves them. They're great guys, but their direction wasn't where the Bible was leading. So for me growing up, I was kind of confused in that what am I supposed to do as a Christian? And I try and look, the next person up from those two was Pastor Mansell. I've I've known Pastor Mansell from when he was a kid, like, and let me tell you, I love Pastor Mansell with all my heart. I could never hang out with him for fun.
That's fair.
I'm not talking about now. Now I
Now he's
probably
all right.
could hang
Yeah,
out
yeah.
with him now. He's a lot cooler than he used to be. But even when he was like, I'm talking 12, 13 years old, he'd hang out with the adults. And the adults weren't like the old, the older guys like now me, Paul, William, Peter. Like, he hung out with the Arabs. Their sense of humor is weird. Like, the Arab sense of humor, have you ever noticed they laugh at stuff that's not funny? And then you tell a funny joke and none of them laugh?
Mm.
They're the people he hung out with. They're the people he wanted to be with. They're the people that, and I used to look at him and go, my mum used to always nag me, why can't you be like Mansell? I'm like, who can be like Mansell? No one can be like him. He was always a very mature guy. Anyway, so I never really had that example. Looking around, I kind of, I don't know, looked at the world, looked at church, I think I got misguided by myself.
Why, you looked around and thought that there was something better?
No, not that it was better. I was trying to find out what I'm supposed to do as a Christian in life.
Okay.
So I'd assess this every day. I'm a very deep thinker. I think about everything. If I, like, for example, Joseph's scratching his elbow right now. All right? I think that's a nervous thing he does when he's bored or nervous. He'll grab his elbow. All right?
He's got the muzzy bite, apparently.
Could be fleas.
Aussie bite.
Please.
But I'll sit there and I'll watch stuff. I'll watch people. I'll take a look at different reactions. I'll watch when someone walks in the room, how other people react to that person. If I'm paying attention, I'll pick up on a lot of stuff. Maybe even stuff that they don't even realize. Like, I'll say to some people, like, why don't you like this guy? And they're like, I don't know. I never thought about it. And they're like, oh, I don't think I don't like him. Like, bro, you were agitated when he walked in the room. They're like, you know what? I don't like him. So I kind of work these things out. Like, I noticed these little things. So I was watching people around, and we didn't just come to the church like our church. I went to about 4 different churches, and I'd visit another 4 different churches in a month. So I'd watch different Christians, and all the Christians that I knew, I can't say that I saw them living for Jesus. They do, but they don't. So when everything was normal, yeah, no problem. But the occasional drink on a Friday night, the swear word here, if they fell into sin, it is what it is. Like,
Sort of a double life.
I don't want to say double life, but it was like, if something's convenient, they'll do it. If it's not convenient, they got an excuse for it. But they're quick.
Sure.
They were always quick to judge.
Yeah.
Like, that was one thing that was consistent throughout most churches. Everyone was quick to judge. So they judge you as like, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. But then you look at their life and you go, well, there's a lot of stuff you shouldn't be doing too, but you're doing it. Like, why is that all right? But what I'm doing is not. And I'm not a saint.
Mm.
By nature, I think I'm more on the bad side. Let's say that. I'm more of an angry guy. I'm more of I don't know how to describe it, but I'm not.
You're psychotic.
Psychotic.
Yeah, you're psychotic.
I wouldn't describe myself as a good person.
You can say maybe rebellious.
Yeah, rebellious, just angry. Anyway, going through life, trying to assess all that, I got to a point where I concluded, after years of thinking, that if God was real, then Christians, people that say they believe in God, would at least be trying to live for Him. But I couldn't see that.
Okay.
And I'm sure that there was some, but I couldn't see it. And I thought, you know what? God can't be real. It was at that point that God dealt with me and changed my life. And I basically 180 degrees, and I said, I don't care what anyone else does. I'm gonna do my best to do what the Bible says and nothing else. And I think now my nature's improved a lot, but I don't feel like I have the right to judge anyone. One thing that I started noticing, or that I realized, was that there is no one that young people can look up to. I had no one. And now the people that were younger than me, who were they going to look up to? All they'd ever known of me was bad, like not stuff that I'm proud of. So I made a conscious decision, and I prayed about it. I go, God, you know what? I want to be the example to these guys. And I want them to keep away from the bad examples. So that was one major objective I had, was to keep the younger boys away from their school friends. Because their school friends, I'm not saying their school friends are bad. In fact, they're probably pretty good guys. But like Gus was saying earlier, people want to see where their limits are. It's not only that with jobs or ability or sport or things like that. It's also with worldly things. They want to see how many girls they can go out with. They want to see if they can party hard. They want to see that, oh, look how much people love me. They love that. It's you feed off that. And I know that they're going to go down that track unless I can keep them away from their friends. So that became my aim.
So that was your driving goal?
That was my driving goal, to keep them away. And so I started telling the boys, hang out with me, and I'd go out on, like, even if I didn't feel like going out, I'd go out, go to some restaurant, do something, bring everyone along. Let me tell you, it wasn't cheap. But I managed to do that for a while. But in 2000, and this is where I was coming to, in the year 2000, we were walking along the walkway at Cronulla Beach, and there was a few of the guys that were there. There was Shadi McDessie, there was Alex Hillu, there was Abud, there was Stephen, there was a few of the guys. And they started asking questions about the Bible that, to me, they're general knowledge. Like, bro, I wasn't living for God and I know this stuff. How don't you know this? And I'd ask some of the other boys, I go, boys, do you know what this is? And they're like, no.
How old are they at the time?
Probably about 15, 16.
Okay.
So I go, you know what, boys? I think we need to do a Bible study. Like, we need to get a time where we sit around and we'll talk about the Bible. And I started praying about it. I spoke to Pastor about it. At the time, David Gassain was our youth leader. And Pastor goes, yep, I want to run it through David Gassain. Okay, no problem, whatever you want. So we did the first ever boys meeting at Shadi McDessie's house, which was next door to the Gassain's house. And that was we were doing it bi-weekly. So we did it there. We had a barbecue, it was a hangout. And then the next week, and we had a good turnout. And then the next 2 weeks later, we did it again. And I noticed after a while, people wouldn't know. They wouldn't turn up because they go, I didn't know if it was this week or next week, so I just didn't come. And people were starting to lose interest in doing it. So at the time, like, I just saw that no one really cared about it anymore. So I said, you know what, boys? We're always hanging out at my house. From now on, we're doing it every week at my house. Make sure you're there. And it's not going to be on Monday nights. It's going to be on Tuesday nights at the time. So every Tuesday night was a hangout at my house. We do a Bible study. And that's where we went from there.
And that has run ever since, pretty much.
23 years.
Everyone in this room's pretty much gone through that whole ministry, and we're still going to it today. That's on Thursday nights now at yours.
Thursday nights. We say 7:30, but we don't start till 7:45.
What was the biggest challenge for you doing that all those years?
It wasn't the Bible study itself. Like I said, my life was totally different to what it is now. So if you knew me back then, I was totally different to what I am now. And that was probably the biggest struggle. I had to change my life, because if I was going to be someone that these boys look up to, then I had to be that. And I had to, like, I know that God will understand and forgive me, but the boys won't. And it's not that they won't forgive me. I'm sure they'll forgive me, but if they were in a state of mind where I was at, I'd look at someone and go, see, they're fake just like everyone else. So I had to maintain that walk, not only for my spiritual growth, but to be that example to the younger boys.
That's full on, bro. And I think that's something that all of us are learning and growing with, struggling with. I mean, you impacted everyone in this room as well, a lot of people listening as well. And I think that's because, like you said, that whole seeing that they had no one above them, no generation to influence them, you decided, okay, I'm going to influence the younger generation. And then that generation said, all right, we're going to influence the younger ones.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think God was doing a work. And can I say, Ray,
100%.
like, I noticed throughout my life, God called, like I said, I paid attention to this, and I'd see God's calling on different people's lives. And I don't think any of them ever said no. No one, I never saw anyone say no to God. But what they said was, not now.
Okay.
And now I look at their life, they got, like, they wanted to achieve certain goals before they did whatever God wanted them to do. They achieved those goals. But you know what? God didn't wait around for them. He said, okay, you want to go do what you want to do? Go do it. He called someone else. And he called someone else, and he called someone else. And these people that went and achieved their goals, they got exactly what they wanted. And their life is a shambles now. I look at them and I go, like, I would hate to be them. I would hate to be them. And also, I think that, like, now in this talk, I'll make it sound like, oh, I did a lot of... Can I tell you, like I said, God used David Gassain. David Gassain wasn't even in our church prior to that. It's like he appeared out of nowhere. At the perfect time, God said, come to Faith Baptist. He did. He obeyed. He took on that role as the youth leader. And he was nothing like he is now either. Like, now David is fairly quiet. He's a family guy, very reserved. But back then, he was Mr. Excitement. Like, he'd be running around. There was competitions everywhere, like...
Shout out David G.
Shout out to David
what a
G.
man.
No,
What a legend.
he honestly done a marvelous work in our youth. And God used him. Also, that was just after, like, Pastor Nabil came and he took power. He started making changes as well. And I think a lot of things work together. Like, God worked everything together. So my role, even though, like, now we're talking about it, it sounds like, oh, you did a lot. I think without everyone doing what they were supposed to do, nothing would have worked out.
That's just the church in general, man. It's what we do. I mean, you look at it now, so many years have passed in our church, and so many of us have different roles and different responsibilities within it. Yeah. And it just shows how each generation, if they just say yes to God, mate, he can do a powerful work throughout our people.
Yeah. Can I say with the time thing, like, I think that's very important. I think a lot of people, not only with their life, but with the ministry, they take time for granted. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I used to think, oh, one day I will do something. I'll do this or I'll do that. Now I'm 48 years old and I look and I go, there's no way I can achieve that because I don't have enough time left. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to go back to uni one day and study psychology. That was always something that I wanted to do. I just never got around to it. And now I'm 48 and everyone says, oh, why don't you do it? You can do it at night. It's like, yeah, and how do I spend time with my kids?
Because you need a psychologist.
I know. No, I don't think I'd ever become a psychologist. I just want to study psychology.
Counseling's good. I'm studying counselling at the moment.
I don't want to even do that. Like, I like to study it.
Oh, you want to go into, like, the full science of it?
Hey?
You want to go into the full science of it? Oh, nice.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you don't do what you need to do now, if you're not taking that step forward now, you're not going to do it. I'm telling you now, life's going to get away from you. You're going to look back and go, where'd time go?
Our mate Bobby always says, pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger.
I think people need to pull the trigger.
You talk about influencing generations. You know, because from the boys meeting that started, a lot of the boys that went, you know, when I was younger would come every so often. Like it was my uncles that would come and do the barbecues. I remember that vividly.
Yeah.
My uncles would come and they would just come for the pure fact they're going to set up and pack up the barbecues and all that. And I remember always from a kid, always, you know, we got to impact the next generation. And I was one of those kids thinking, well, I'm 12. Like, how am I going to impact the next generation? But it was my time I felt to be impacted. And, you know, and it was the people like Abud, the people like Alex, people like Mark, you know, those boys that would take me out when I was younger, you know, make a difference in my life and make an impression in my life and to serve God, to honor God with my life and to instill that in me from a young age. Like one of the ones I can't forget, it was Abud, where he left Eastern Creek, picked me up from my house. I believe we went to Harry's in Liverpool to then drop me off back at home and then go back to Eastern Creek. Meant, as a 13, 14-year-old kid, meant the entire world to me. Yeah. And I felt so undeserving of it. I was like, why would he do that for me? All I do is annoy him. I'm just a smart aleck to him. I always tease him at church. I'm always, you know, but that was the idea. And I always said, okay, how can I ever repay you? And he goes, impact the next generation.
That's it. Can I say, like, little things we do for each other. We help each other. We try and, you know, make each other's lives that little bit easier. That some stuff you do for someone else, to you, it just feels like, well, I'll do it. For them, they look at, like Stat just said, like, it looks and goes,
It's everything.
Well, how do I pay that back?
Yeah. Even that cheeseburger meal at Macca's, like, it's nothing. It's what? Now it's like $7 for it. But, bro, that's nothing to us. It's a cheeseburger meal. But to a kid, it's everything, man. To a teenager, that's nuts. Yeah. Just the fact that you would do that for me.
Sorry, can I say something? Not everybody appreciates what you do for them. Like,
yeah, of course.
Like Stat here, obviously, he's showing appreciation for what Abud did, but Abud did that for a lot of guys. But not everyone appreciated it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
that's the worst thing, doing something for someone and then for them to turn around and say, I never asked you to. That is like...
Not only I never asked you to, it's like they take it for granted, like...
Yeah, like, no worries, thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's like, can you do that again tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's like, bro, I'm coming out of my way to get you.
I guess that's why it's important to remember that you're doing it for God at the end of the day. But, well,
that's the thing. And that, look, can I say, there were plenty of times that, like, my wife, my sister back in the day, my mother, she'd say to me, all of them would say to me, you know that some of these guys are taking advantage of you. And I'd have two responses. First of all, I prefer that they take advantage of me than I take advantage of them. Like, I'd always want to be, I prefer to be the victim than the aggressor. And second of all, God's keeping count. I don't care whether they appreciate it or not. Like, it obviously makes a difference when they do, but I really don't care. At the end of the day, like, my whole life belongs to Jesus. So what's it matter if they say thank you or not? Like, I'm still getting my reward from him.
Arabs think like that. My parents always tell me, if I do something for someone, they'll say, "Had ma birat khair." So in English, that means he wouldn't do the same for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want him to.
Yeah.
I don't do it for favors.
Yeah. I think parents worry that we're going to be taken advantage of and we're going to become...
We're not seeing what's going on. Yeah, we're not seeing what's going on right in front of us.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I think if you know and you're willing to make that sacrifice, I think that in itself gets you an extra reward.
So then what pushes you then? Because, bro, like, we've had people, you know, screw us over or, you know, take advantage and move on, but nowhere near as many as you. How do you keep encouraging yourself and saying, no, I'm doing this for God and I'm not going to stop? Because, bro, at your point, like, you've been doing it for years. Anyone would have stopped and been like, enough's enough at this point.
Look, I don't think anyone would have stopped. First of all, can I say, like Calvinists always say this, the irresistible grace. Yeah, they call it irresistible grace. And they say...
Sorry, say that again. Anytime you turn that way, I can't hear in the mic.
Sorry, irresistible grace.
Yeah.
Calvinists always talk about it and they say, see, for those that are chosen, they can't resist the grace that God shows them. But I believe that God does that for everyone. Just some people appreciate it and see it for what it is. And I'm sure, like, in every one of your lives, if you look at how God dealt with you, you go, mate, God was so graceful to me. Like, how can I repay that? And for me, when God called me, I remember it was, I stood there and I go, God, I don't understand. Like, I don't even want my own life. Why do you want it? And I'd already made him the promise that if he called me and showed me he was real, I'll follow him 100%. And it was at that point that, like we say, we give our lives to Jesus, but I gave my life to Jesus. So right now, it's not my life. I don't have that choice to say, oh, I'll keep doing this. It's not up to me. And it shouldn't be up to any of us. This is, our lives belong to Jesus. Like, we should be asking permission for doing something that we want to do, not saying to God, I'll grant you permission and I'll go to church. I'll do that for you. I'm not doing, like, I have to be there. I have to be there.
I think there's a certain mentality a Christian gets through walking the Christian path, and I think that comes from the Holy Spirit, which is sometimes you got to take an L for God, and it just happens. Me and you had a conversation before, and you mentioned that. You said sometimes taking what we see as a loss, whether it's someone taking advantage of you or you being hard done by, and the Bible always says that God's the judge and he has the final say, but the mentality of, you know what, me accepting this, even if it's unfair, even if it's wrong by the other person I've been hard done by, it's for God's glory. That mentality you don't get by yourself.
No, and I think the Holy Spirit puts that in you. But you're right. And like I said, and I look at my old life, and that's why, like, I don't like to judge anyone past judgment, because I look at them and I say, as bad as they are, I was worse. So I understand that, all right, whatever they did, that's between, even if it's against me, it's like, you know what, God's going to judge that. It's not for me to judge.
Can I also say, I get a lot of people that say this to me, not because of anything I do, it's just the type of people that say it. And you mentioned it before, there's people that it's like they're not perfect, but they like telling other people they're not as well, which is, and you call yourself a Christian, and you'd think that you would get that from unsaved people. I have, but not as much as saved people. That's constant.
Yeah.
They tend to like pick at you, and it discourages a person, doesn't it? Like it discourages you. Like these are Christians, aren't they supposed to encourage me?
Christians are more judgmental than anyone else.
Yeah, they are. But that's what I mean. Like you got to stop looking at them and their judgmentalism and their weaknesses, their downfalls. You got to stop looking at that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
I always give this example about I think it was Isaiah that he used to always, like, if you read in his book, he always says, "Woe unto you, you you evil generation." He calls the women cows. He's like always telling people off, like, "Woe unto you, should be ashamed of yourselves." Until he had a vision and he appeared in the presence of God, and then his woe changed, and it went from "woe unto you," and he says, "Woe is me. For I'm a man of unclean lips." Like, you know what? Like, I got enough problems with myself than I have to worry about what other people are. You know what? That's between them and God. They can worry about that. I need to worry about myself. I need to make sure I'm living my life the way he wants it to. And you know what? God's a loving Father. If you stuff it up, just get up on the horse and go again.
I think there's a few points we could take from that. One, that we try to aim to be like Jesus. So try to follow in his footsteps, be exactly how it was. I feel like his 30-year ministry on earth, other than to, die on the cross for us, was also to set an example of how a Christian should live. But also as a Christian, sometimes we don't understand that if we act in a bitter way or act in an angry way, that reflects God, because as Christians, God lives in us. So how can we be a channel of blessing, a channel of encouragement to other people? That person that someone can look at and be like, you know what, I can go to this person and I can talk to him and I can ask him stuff. If, like you said about Isaiah, he was the one that would tell people off and be angry. If we're that type of Christian, how are we going to do the main goal that we've been set out to do by Christ, which is spread the word, if no one would want to come up to us and talk to us?
That's a good point. I like it.
So a question for you, Dave. How long can you see yourself going with boys meeting?
Honestly, I pray about it all the time. Like, for me, I don't care for positions. We were talking about you always want to try and improve and try and... I honestly, I could care less. I think early on in my years, I achieved greatness in my career where I excelled very quickly. I like to think that what I achieved in my life, very, very few people in the world could have achieved. But you know what? I look and I go, it's like Paul said, it's all done. Yeah, it counts for nothing. If it's not for Jesus, it's a waste. So I'm happy where I am. If there's something that can be done for Christ, I think someone's got to do it. And I'm one of those guys that, you know, like I don't like getting my hands dirty, but if no one else is going to do it, I'll do it. Whatever it, like if it needs to be done, I'll do it. I think with boys meeting, God's called me to it. I honestly believe that with all my heart. If God tells me tomorrow, that's it. I'd kind of seek, I guess, like, God, is that, like, did I understand you right? Is that what you want? You want me to stop? And if he said stop tomorrow, I'll stop tomorrow. But like it's been going 23 years, and you know, I was checking with him, you know, a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago nearly, and last time I spoke to him then about it, he was like, no, and he showed me keep going. So we're still here. I'm ready to pass the baton anytime. I don't need, like, it's not something that I need to keep my role in anything. And if God even moves me on from our church, like if he says, Dave, all right, your time here is done, I want you to move on to somewhere else, I'll do it, whatever. So how long? I don't know. Whenever God says that's enough, that's enough.
Fire out, bro.
Yeah.
That's an attitude to have, though, man. Because whatever you want, I'll do it. It's rough, but that's pretty much what we need to live our lives for. Listen, last question for you. It might be a loaded one, but what do you think of Christianity today? You said you're a deep thinker. You look at things that other people probably don't.
Yeah.
Do you see it? A lot of people see it in dire straits, like we're in a bad spot. I don't see it that way. What do you reckon?
I'm kind of with you, Ray. I think right now we have many Elijahs where we've got Christians standing there going, am I the only one left? Look at where our world is going. Look at what our society is doing. Look at what my own church is doing. And we're looking and we're thinking, man, it's all going down the drain. But like God said to Elijah, it's like, relax, take it easy. I've got 7,000 men that haven't bowed a knee to Baal. Like, there's people out there. And I think you would be surprised when we get to heaven and we see how much God is achieving in these days. I don't know if you guys heard, but they're trying to bring in a bill in Israel where they ban talking about Jesus, giving out the New Testament. You're allowed to talk about Islam. You're allowed to talk about Buddhism. You're allowed to talk about anything you want to talk about, but you're not allowed to talk about Jesus.
Far out, man.
So that's, you know, Israel. You know, people say that God's still dealing with Israel. I don't know. I think that if, as far as races go, it's what they're doing is pretty evil.
For
Pretty
sure.
evil, biblically.
100%. All right, Stat, anything else you want to add?
No. No, not really.
I felt, bro, to be honest, I felt like a teenager again just listening to his whole story. It
Mm.
was full on. That was awesome. Thanks.
That's
David.
actually the first time I've ever heard the story.
Really?
From the start.
I feel like he's told that a few times.
Well, I've always come at 9 o'clock. So I can't sit here and say, oh, no, what do you mean? Maybe I wasn't listening. I've just come a lot of times, 9:30, sometimes 11. I don't know why you welcome me into your house still. Sometimes.
I don't know why you welcome any of us, bro. Honestly,
You're all
Dave.
welcome. You're
Thanks
all
so much for everything, bro.
welcome. No problem.
Appreciate you, man. Goose, where the people find you online?
You can find me. Just look me up. You'll find me on Insta. Yeah, but hey, when you want to come back to me, I remembered my joke.
Okay, go.
Maybe in like a couple of weeks' time. Maybe
Okay.
we'll pray about it. We think if you just.
All right. There was a lady that that gave birth, but she I think she fell into a coma afterwards. She had twins. She had a boy and a girl, and her closest relative was her brother, but he was like the crazy brother, the crazy uncle. Now he could be called an uncle. So they said, well, she can't name her kids. Why don't you name them? So he comes back with two names, one for the boy, one for the girl. He goes, I'm going to call the girl Denise. Oh, that's a great name. It's a lovely name. What about the boy? He goes, I'm going to call him the nephew.
Okay, you got me. That's pretty good.
All right.
Is that where they finding you online, bro?
Well, I want to tell a joke because now I feel left out. What's red and bad for your teeth? A brick. Anyway, find me, mate. Find me at Faith Baptist Church, bro. Don't find me online. I'm pretty
Really?
boring online. Just find me at Faith Baptist Church.
Dave,
You can't find me. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram.
correct. But if anyone wants any details for the boys' meeting or Bible study now,
7:30 Thursday night at 3 Shalom Close, Old Guildford.
well, you're really putting that out there.
Yeah, welcome.
Well, why not? Okay. Do you have a joke to tell before we end? I feel like we all have to tell a joke now.
We will have to tell a joke.
I don't even know if
I feel as if
Listen.
every time I've ever spoken to you about something random or we're just doing something, you've always got a joke ready to go.
all my
Something
jokes
good.
are a bit long.
Yeah, all my jokes
That's
are
fine.
offensive. There was only one that isn't.
No, I got plenty of non-offensive jokes, but they take like a minute.
That's no problem. We've been speaking for an hour and a half, so I don't think an end of the minute's gonna hurt at all.
All right. So there's this cowboy.
I know this joke.
He rides into this town, and this town's got a bad reputation, pretty rough town. But he's a big boy, like he stands 6 foot tall, he's 150 kilos, and he's got his guns with him. He's not too worried, He rides in, he ties his horse up in front of the saloon. He walks in, orders a beer, sits down, he's having his drink. While he's drinking his beer, he notices people looking at him, even pointing at him. Some people giggling. Doesn't pay much attention. He goes, whatever. Doesn't want to start anything now. Couldn't be bothered doing time. Anyway, finishes his drink. He gets up. He walks out of the saloon. As soon as he opens the doors of the saloon, looks over, notices his horse has been stolen. Mate, the rage that fills him, he's so angry at this bloke. He turns around, kicks the doors of the saloon in, storms in, pulls out his guns, shoots twice in the air. Everyone in that saloon freezes. They kind of realise, whoop, we picked the wrong guy to do the joke on, He just stares at everyone for a second. He just glances at everyone. It's so silent in that saloon. And he just says, my horse has just been stolen. I don't care who, and I don't care why. I'm going to get another drink, and when I finish, my horse better be back where I put him. Otherwise, I might have to do what I did in Texas. And I really don't want to do what I did in Texas. So he walks over to the bar. Before he even orders a drink, the bartender's pushing the drink over with a shaky hand, So he sits there and he starts sipping on his drink. Behind him, he can hear people whispering, his chairs moving, doors opening and closing, people running in and out. A lot of commotion. Doesn't turn around not once, just keeps sipping on his drink. After a few minutes, he slams his cup down hard to let everyone know that he's done. Sees that everyone's silent. They're all watching him to see what's going to happen. He gets up and starts walking through the saloon. All you can hear is his footsteps echoing as he's walking out. He opens the door, turns around, and there's his horse right where he put it. Hops up on his horse. He's about to ride away. And the bartender runs out. And he goes, hey, mister, I don't mean to pry, but what did you do in Texas? shrugs his shoulders and goes, walked home.
Classic.
Well done,
The
Dave.
classic.
Fair enough.
Well, ladies and gents, thank you so much for joining us for another episode. Please make sure you subscribe because if you do, YouTube's nice to us. Dave, thanks for joining us. Thanks for having the chat.
See you, ball.
Thank you.